Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be talking a bit about predicting the stock movement, specifically on the earnings day, which is a method I found in the book Planetary Stock Trading by Bill Meridian. What I'm going to demonstrate is basically an improvement on what Bill Meridian has. Now, I don't use all of Bill Meridian's techniques, but there are some stuff here that's beneficial that I got from the book Predictive Astrology, the 3rd edition by Juan Estadia. There are two techniques that work very well, which are Converse Transits and precessed lunar returns. So we're going to use these two. I'm going to show you these two techniques and how we can improve on what Bill Meridian provided in his book. Now, Bill Meridian uses secondary progressions, and of course he uses the wrong orb, which is I think 1 degree. The orb isn't 1 degree, it's a lot less than that, but I've experimented a bit with the primary and secondary progressions with these. I mean, the results are mixed and it's very difficult to describe, but let's just stick with these two techniques for now: Converse Transits and precessed lunar returns. Let's begin with Converse Transits. This is the price chart for Clorox. I mean, you can see here the descent from 165 to 141 on earnings, after earnings day, when the market opens after they announce the earnings. The stock drops from 145 until from 165 until 141, almost 25 points. So what's the main reason here? Look at these transits for the day of the announcement. Let's look at the direct transits first. What indicates a drop here, just from this technique? You have the square of Uranus to the Sun, the opposition of Saturn to Venus, the square of Neptune to the midheaven. But these two, Uranus and Neptune, they're very slow, so we can't know when a drop can occur. But if we look at the Converse Transits, we find Saturn exactly on the midheaven with an orb less than 30 minutes. You see the Saturn here. Even the Pluto can come into play here, but it's very slow in motion. So, but here the Saturn indicates the drop. Let's look at another example here with the NVIDIA. Or let's look at this ADI, analog devices. Okay, let's look here. Look, this is a bullish candle. It gains about 7 points. They released earnings before the market opens. Let's look at ADI here. We can see the direct transit of Jupiter over the midheaven, and in conjunction with Venus indicates an increase or a positive earnings report. Now, this doesn't always occur. Sometimes Jupiter is on the midheaven and the prices falls, because we can't just use just one technique. Although transits are very powerful, there are a lot of nuances to this, to planetary stock trading, as Bill Meridian calls it. But I won't go into the details here. I'm just going to demonstrate two techniques. You can experiment with them on your own. So here we have Jupiter 0 Venus and 0 the midheaven, and even here the opposition to the North Node counts. But what's more important? What confirms an increase in prices? What confirms this bullish candle on the day of the opening? Let's look here. Look at this precessed lunar return. The Mercury-Jupiter opposition, I mean, it's not an opposition, it's very wide. You have Mercury opposing the midheaven and Jupiter in conjunction with the midheaven of the lunar return. A very powerful combination, especially when combined with the Jupiter on the midheaven conjunct Venus. And here we get the bullish candle. Of course, a positive reaction from the public to the stock, and the stock rises. Let's look at a third example here with Converse Transits. Okay, so here Uber announces earnings after the market. I'm going to just look at the Converse Transits here because they contain what we want. Look at this Uber. Jupiter opposing the midheaven. The stock closed here, and when the market opens, they even beat the earnings, the earnings per share by 247%. They were expecting negative 0.3. So the stock opens here at $41 from 40, and then it rises to 42.4. But it falls. But what we get from this Jupiter opposition is that the stock opens, it rises and rises. So that's the energy of this opposition from Jupiter and the North Node to the midheaven. Let's look at a final example here. Now today, Nvidia announced earnings today, and the stock is down by 2.12%. Let's look at the transits here. We have a square from Neptune to the midheaven. This is a direct. But what catches the eye here is that the Saturn is on Venus, Saturn in conjunction with Uranus, and Uranus square Uranus. But more clearly in Converse Transits, what do we see? We see an opposition from Saturn to the Sun, a square from Uranus to the Sun. And this is very indicative of a drop, even though the reports are positive, both of them. The stock is negative 0.5 right now, and the market opens in 1 hour in New York. Now we check direct and Converse Transits. We can also check here a very important the very important technique of precessed lunar returns, and we see Saturn on the midheaven. Now for me, currently I don't use the ascendant at all in transit or in precessed returns. Basically this is a lunar return, but we correct the precession. You can read more about it in the book Predictive Astrology, which I have in the description. we can see here the Saturn on the midheaven and the drop in the price of the stock. So these are the two techniques that I wanted to share with you. I hope you experiment with them. I am 100% sure that they will help you in predicting earnings reports for stocks. You can also experiment more with the techniques from the book that I have in the description. Of course, you can also use it in other types of astrology. Very powerful techniques, really. Precessed lunar returns and converse transits. Thank you for watching, and if you like the video, please leave a like and subscribe.